I'm about to go over may be unsettling and uncomfortable for some viewers. Additionally, this presentation features graphic imagery. Viewer discretion is advised. Have you ever had your faith used against you? Have you ever believed someone could do no wrong, only for that mask to slip? Everything they showed you, everything they gave you, fabricated to be palatable, easily digested, so that you wouldn't notice their poison. This is what it was like for me. A few years ago, I was in a slump. I was uninspired, unhappy, with myself, with those around me, with the world that I was thrust into without consent. I watched YouTube as it's an easy distraction. I watched commentary channels, animators, filmmakers, people who covered nearly every topic under the sun. But one topic was my favorite: horror. Horror video games, deep web content, mysteries, alternate reality games, lost media, you name it, I watched it. And there was one place I enjoyed it the most. One creator whose style inspires me and makes me want to create similar work. Nexpo. Nightmare Expo. Nexpo is a YouTube content creator who expertly and artistically covers and catalogs general horror media across the internet, from video games, artwork, to lost media, real-life scenarios, and unexplained phenomena. Though, it was through Nexpo I was able to discover another content creator, and the real focus of this video.
I'm Max.
Mamamax. Mamamax, or Max Striker, is and was a self-proclaimed predator hunter YouTube content creator that garnered a significant amount of attention through what I had perceived at the time as avant-garde videos that throttle the viewer in what is the seedy underbelly of a truth. The world is a horrible place. And at the time, I was correct. And the audience he gathered was in agreement. Mamamax's persona spoke to the starving seeker of justice in us all, in its own macabre sort of visual language. We were well fed on relatable sentiment, and that played well into how popular Mamamax would become, pulling the kinds of people who would flock quickly under a unifying banner such as protecting children and punishing evil. But to be young is to be a fool. I had not learned what is truly a defining lesson of online safety. Question everything. Throughout the lifespan of Max's channel, he consistently uploaded each video a proclamation that his content was made for catharsis, a blending of reality and dramatization to appeal to our humanity, our justice-seeking nature, as well as to appease YouTube's guidelines, as the harsh reality would be too graphic, too real to host on the site. A truth too honest to not be veiled in secrecy. But there would be some unappealing moments, parts and functions of his storytelling that felt off. Or rather, they feel considerably more off now than they did 3 to 4 years ago. It would all come to a head when he would attempt to cover the werewolf cult. The story that revolves around this event is confusing for me. Something to do with women being kidnapped and indoctrinated by a man who believed himself to be a werewolf, but it also was rumored to be a conflict between Max, the victim, and someone they both knew from their days in high school. You're probably thinking, huh? Yeah, me too. The events around this time would blur together for me, having still been battling depression, doing my best to stay proactive. If you want a better telling of the story, there's a dozen or so videos now since it's come to light. Mamamax was a fraud. Numerous content creators came together, some of which had interviewed Max, and they discussed his process. That his dramatized reality, his fiction mixed with fact, was really... he wasn't catching any of the predators. He was showing their face, yes, and in some instances where they lived via QR codes, supposedly. But he hadn't been working with law enforcement, and in actuality his videos caused more harm than good, obstructing justice in most cases. It didn't help that late into his career he wielded his fan base like a militia, an army that he would tongue-in-cheek wink to and say, "You know what you need to do," essentially goading them into doing vigilante work, the kind he would allude to in his dramatizations. I used to respect Max as a creator, used to be a fan of his work, because part of his performance allowed me to build a notion of what this pseudo-profession of predator hunting should look like. Work with law enforcement, collect identifying information as well as evidence, and put predators away. I thought that's what he was doing. Not to isolate and eliminate, and not to indiscriminately kill as he was alluding to, no matter if they're deserving or not. That kind of message is too chaotic. It's an evil in its own right. It's inexcusable what he does now, though. Now that his fame has died down and he is coasting off of Patreon money. Yes, he is still around, and some people are still actively donating to this lying jackass. The reason I had for being a fan of Mamamax was not a good one. It was self-serving. My mentality at the time was that someone who potentially broke the rules, engaged in vigilantism, couldn't be much worse than a world of corrupt politicians, murderers, war. Peace at whatever cost is not a realistic peace. It's not peace or justice at all. But he wasn't a vigilante, he was a fraud, and the world is still a dark and evil place. But it doesn't have to be. And we can all do with a reminder that things could be better. It wasn't easy for me to admit being a fan of his. Some are of the opinion that you had to be pretty stupid to believe in his presentation as a content creator, though this critique was coming from much older web personalities who had already been through enough life experience to come out the other end, either pessimistic or callous. There's better ways to educate and inform people than just calling them an idiot. But I'm sure we all know better now. With all that being said, this has been Metro Murray. If you're a fan of investigative commentary-style content and would like to see more of it on this channel, consider throwing a like my way and subscribe. Follow any of my other social media accounts on Instagram, Twitter, and or on Blue Sky. And always remember to comment on this video or the places mentioned prior and let me know what you think. Until next time, farewell and be safe.